Hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm, and who's producing the show today, Brian?
Graham Gallagher, none other than, he's a comedian, and he's really funny, so find him and see his stuff. Check him out on the IG. Short of that, Tom, will you do me a favor and help welcome into the studio today, kneecap drum roll, Clint Hoskins.
Hey guys,
Did
good
I
to be
get
here.
it?
Yeah, right.
Okay, sick, dude.
Of High Score Saloon.
Of High Score Saloon. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Dude, doing pretty good. I've had a pretty solid few months, so I'm riding a high.
Dude, I'm just pumped to get you in. I think I messaged you guys a while ago, and I was just sitting there waiting, and then I saw it pop up, and I was like, yes, finally.
It's been at least a year, I think.
It was
Pretty
like 4
close.
months, so I never
Yeah.
check the messages because we get hundreds of those, grow your followers. Do you want to do... And it's always spam. And then I saw Matt Fitzpatrick. I'm good friends with the Blue Stocking Social people. I'm a big reader.
Yeah,
I've known
dude.
Matt since they opened up. And I saw his thing, and I clicked on it, and I saw that I actually had a waiting message from you guys. And I was like, what? And then I clicked it. So actually, because of knowing him is how I
That's
saw
awesome.
the message.
We're
That's
honored
sick,
to
dude.
have you here.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you so much. You could have done anything else on a Sunday evening, and you came in and decided to spend an hour with us. And I'm super pumped to find out about you. The other owner's name is, you said it, I already forgot.
Jared Nebel.
Jared what?
Jared Nebel.
Nebel. I'm excited to hear about both of you guys and how this whole crazy thing came to fruition, and then how you've grown it. You outgrew a place, moved to another place, and we've got another thing that we might talk about today, if you're willing to. But yeah, there's just tons of stuff that we can talk about today. I'm very, very excited.
I guess you want to give our listeners a brief elevator pitch of who you are, and then what is High Score Saloon?
Yeah, so High Score Saloon started as far as, officially in 2017. We're about to hit our 8-year anniversary. We opened up in a little basement location in downtown Evansville, Indiana, and it was something that came to fruition after about a half a decade of us working on other arcade and video game related endeavors. But we just moved from 323 Main Street over to 309 Main Street. We went from 1,800 square feet to about 20,000, which 12 of that is totally unused. And then, the bottom floor, which we actually utilize, is about 4,500. But yeah.
My God.
Kind of, it's one of those things. It used to be original to have an arcade bar, and now they're everywhere.
Yeah, that is true.
Whenever we started,
I was going to say, I hadn't heard of another arcade bar before you guys.
Arcade,
Yeah.
I always say
Arcademy.
Arcademy, is that the proper
I
way?
think I call it Arcademy, but it might be Arcademy.
I've
But
talked to that guy. I've talked to the owner behind the bar.
Carl, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah,
Carl. He's done a lot.
crazy dude.
Yeah.
He's into that. I don't even know what you call that style that his bar is. It's I don't even know what steampunk.
Yeah.
Big steampunk head. I'd love to get him in here. But yeah, no, it did used to be unique, and then Stranger Things came out, and everybody's like, I need a VHS player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got my first arcade game by chance, and that's how it all started. It was a guy called me. So I was Evansville Fire Department, and on my off day, everyone has an off day job. I bought and sold vintage video games, action figures on eBay. So I sold Thundercats, G.I. Joes, and I did it fairly large scale. I did 15 to 20 grand a year just out of my girlfriend's spare room.
You're filing taxes.
Yeah. Anything over 20 grand on eBay, you always have to file. But I'd done it for a couple years, and a guy had messaged me, and he said, hey, do you buy arcade games? And I was like, haven't, but sure, I'll come look at it.
Yeah.
And another by chance happening years and years ago when I was 18 years old, I was in Panama City Beach.
Hell yeah. PCB.
Yeah, back whenever it was still a thing.
Hell yeah.
And we were driving down the road, and we saw a dude with red hair walking no shirt, bare feet down the road. And we were like, what the hell? He's pale.
Yeah.
And we stopped. We're like, do you need a ride? He's like, yeah. And he's hammered. He gets in the Jeep, my buddy Goose's Jeep. And we're like, oh, where are you from? He goes, Evansville, Indiana. And we're like, get the fuck out of here.
He's like, can I get a ride?
And it was Jared Nebel, my business partner.
Get the fuck out of here.
We met whenever we were about 18, 19 years old in Panama City Beach. And after that, we would drink in college and meet each other, yada, yada. But we were, back in the day, you added every person that you met, you added on Facebook almost immediately because that was the only social media. So within we took him back to the chateau and we drank some more and we added each other on Facebook and we were buds.
Oh, yeah.
All of us. And we kept in contact, like we joked around and stuff like that on post, but I knew that he dicked around with arcade and pinball machines. Well, I go and I talked to this guy about a Mortal Kombat 4 machine, and I called Jared and I was like, hey man, I haven't talked to you in a while. It's Clint. Do you know about these? He's like, yeah, I got like 7 of them. He said they're all in parts and pieces. He just moved back from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
And so he was like, yeah, I'll come check it out with you. And we go there. The monitor is dead. And I was like, oh man, it doesn't work.
Have you ever sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
But, like, had you ever built a computer or anything at that time?
I can't do anything.
Gotcha. I didn't know, because like I know when you open those up, it's like an old school computer basically inside.
The ones from like 2000. So even a Mortal Kombat 4 was like a hard drive, a PCB, a monitor, and a power supply. They're really rudimentary. I mean, the PCBs aren't, obviously. You're getting into like ROM burning and all kinds of other shit. But as far as that working, it's power supply to a monitor. That's it. So I go and I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's broke. And Jared kind of elbows me. He's like, it's fine. Get it. And I was like, okay. And it's in a basement, so we have to load it up. My buddy Greg Wilkins, who was one of my first employees also, was there with me because he liked Mortal Kombat. He's like, I just want to go see the thing.
Yeah, let me see this
and
fucking
he had
animal.
it. So this is how early we were on this. Greg had a dolly, so Greg got recruited to come with us to get a dolly and help us drag it up a flight of stairs.
What'd you pay for it?
$200. So you see that shit online though. That is rich people prices. That is a dude who makes $300,000 a year and wants an arcade in his room. I can still find that game. I sell that game for $1,200 whenever I get it.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that's
but
after
you're still 1,000 under.
Yeah, but this one was. So this is back in 2013, and they've gone up in value because now people are opening up arcade and arcade bars.
Yeah,
so
now it's a commodity that's needed.
So we brought it home, and Jared, he gets in there and he's like, "Oh, your flyback's fucked," which is like the suction cup that hooks up to an old CRT. He replaces it, boots right up, works perfect. And I bought him a case of beer. We had a couple beers and played it.
A can of duster,
yeah,
and a suction cup.
and this is whenever Jared he didn't know what he was doing. He shocked himself more than he fixed anything. But he had enough knowledge to be dangerous.
Right.
So I was kind of like, all right, that's it. I had just broken up with my girlfriend. And I moved back into my house. So I was like, well, I got a Mortal Kombat 4 in my living room. This is awesome.
Right.
And I didn't really think much of it. And me and Jared always got along, but he is very Tommy boy to my David Spade. I'm very dry. I don't, I run about like a 4 to a 7, and Jared is always a 1 or a 10. And he's very high energy. So like, he was like, oh, like, come over and check out my, my collection. And I was just at a point in my life, kind of like I am now, where I'm kind of dulled down. And
right.
I was like,
you're in a valley, not a plateau.
And he was just very big energy.
Dude, Jared sounds like a blast. Also, maybe we should get him tested for bipolar.
Oh no, Jared is fully ADHD,
it's like
hyperactive.
1 to 10. That sounds like bipolar. No,
yeah, he has gotten really good at harnessing his power though, because he's one of those guys who, if you get him to focus, he can do anything.
Just lock him in.
We fight constantly because I am a very make a schedule, make a list person. And Jared is very much a like throw it in the air and shoot at it. But
ADD,
he hits everything though.
Hell
so
yeah, brother. It sounds like you got a winner.
He's extremely effective at what he does. You just have to keep him on some kind of course, or I'll tell other stories.
Or
about
he's
Jared
making
later.
his own game out of all the other spare
Literally.
parts.
I want to pump the brake. I want to get too deep into the weeds on the story yet.
Yeah.
I want to know, where do they make Clint Hoskins at? Where do you hail from? Where are you from?
Evansville, Indiana. So, I was technically born here. Then we lived in Wadesville. There wasn't a facility for birthing out there.
Oh, nice. Dude.
But we lived there for a few years. The house burned down. We moved here whenever I still don't really remember it. I was about 3 years old. Had 3 older brothers. My dad was a construction worker. My mom was a homemaker. And we were at the same house until I was 15. Then we moved a mile away, but graduated from Wrights High School.
How old were you when you got your first video game?
So my oldest brother was born in 1975. So I was born with them. The first game, I was just telling the story, the first game I ever remember playing was Mario 3 for the Nintendo. The yellow one. Dude. Yeah. And we were always gamers though. We didn't have any money. We were dirt poor. It was my dad raising a family of 6 on a construction worker's salary. So we didn't have a lot, which that was at least feasible 25 years ago, and now you can barely raise yourself being a laborer, but it was at least feasible.
Do you think, side question, do you think Mario 3 may or may not be the most slept on Mario of all time?
I think it should be the most popular. I think it's the best one ever.
The Black Pants Mario is like
yeah.
literally, and this is the one where, you can get the raccoon tail.
You can get fire, frog, raccoon. You can do the thing where you turn, the raccoon is where you turn into the actual like statue to where you can't be hurt. They added a lot to this game, and they did like the warp, so this is a big speedrun game too.
Hell yeah, dude. I think 3 is slept on.
I don't think I ever played 3.
Oh, it's the best Mario, I think. Still.
Yeah, and you go through the levels, through the map.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. Thank you for pulling that up for a good visual representation. I needed that. But sorry, I did not mean to cut you off. So Dirt Floor Poor, you got five siblings?
Four
siblings,
it's me and
mom
3
and
others.
dad.
So yeah.
But the nice part about video games is like, one, they were cheaper back then than what they are now. But like, you could buy it, and then the whole family, like that entertained 4 kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and it cost a one-time thing instead.
You just
of
didn't have the options.
Stuff.
Now you might play a first-person shooter or an RPG or this or that, but like, whenever Zelda came out, that was before my time. Even I think it was 1985 or 86, whenever the first one came out.
Okay,
that was a whole new thing because all you really had was games like Atari, where it's like you move a thing, you maybe shoot at a thing, and you try to get to the end.
Oh, you had Galaga
Miss Pac-Man
was popular, Pac-Man.
But you got the games where you're actually like on an adventure, like Mario, where you're going from castle to castle.
Levels,
right? Then Pokemon came in and changed it.
Yeah, that was actually the game that probably made me a gamer. Is
Pokemon?
Mm-hmm. My parents had divorced, and I think my mom felt bad, and we talked her into buying us each. Colt got a Game Boy Pocket. I got a Game Boy Color, and he got Red and Blue. And I bet I still play through Pokemon Blue once every year, probably.
Oh
yeah.
But we played that game. So it was my mom. After the fact, she was like, I spent $200 each on you guys for Christmas in 1997.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But she was like, you guys spent hundreds of hours on those Game Boys.
Dude.
It was the best investment she ever made to keep us.
And
out
the
of her
nice
hair.
part about Red and Blue is they didn't have a battery like Crystal, where it would die and you had to replace
so they
the
do
battery.
actually. But the original batteries they use last like 24 years, and the ones they put in Crystal, Gold, Silver are like, so it's a CR 2032 versus a CR like 1688. The ones for the Game Boy Advance games just suck, but those actually have batteries in them. Pokemon,
I have not lost a save on these yet, but I have on my Crystal, my Silver, and my Gold.
Unfortunately, you will. Yeah, so even as early as the original Zelda for NES, that has a battery in it.
Wow.
We opened that shit up, and so that's how I started High Score, was selling video games. I had to learn how to solder just to replace batteries and stuff. Yeah.
During COVID, I took my Game Boy Color and I put an LCD screen in it and got into like modding them. Yeah. Got some remote
for the lay, i.e. myself, because I wasn't like a big Game Boy head. Like I was always like a console kid. But what's this battery you're talking about?
It's a CR 2032, so it's to save your progress. You can play the game without it, but if you hit save to maintain your file, it won't work.
Imagine like playing through a game, instead of saving, you turn it off and then you have to restart.
Is this what you're pulling up?
Yeah. So that's
okay.
That's a game called Shadowgate. That's a click and point adventure game from they were really big on DOS computers back in the day, and they came to NES port. There's a whole series of those: Deja Vu, Shadowgate, and a couple others from that series. But
you are insanely. I don't know why this is shocking me. You're very knowledgeable of video games.
It always fucks
it's so
people
funny.
up.
You know so much about video games.
Well,
why is that?
Jared can fix anything. Jared can repair these. He can drop. He knows nothing about video game lore.
He's not like a game head.
0.0. I know the value of every game within like 10% off the top of my head.
Are you a contemporary gamer as well? Like Xbox 360 X? You're not into the new stuff?
I have not. The newest console I've ever owned is a Switch, which that is just for the pick up and put down ability. It's not for the new games. It's to play.
It's like the modern Game Boy, really.
Yeah. I just want something that I can pick up, fuck around with. But as far as like, I played Xbox in high school, Halo. Everybody did, but I never owned one. I would go to my buddies. I kept like I'd play Final Fantasy on my PlayStation 1, Final Fantasy 7. I never messed around with any of that.
Oh yeah, dude. All right, so in high school, before we get past high school, what were some of your like hobbies short of video games? Did you
all jock stuff? I played video games.
sports ball guy?
Wasn't allowed to play any sports because I had 3 older brothers and 2 of them were really good.
Yeah.
And they quit in high school. So my mom, to me and my other brother, Colt, pretty much told us no sports. I'm not starting it because you won't finish it.
Damn.
But I boxed all through high school. That was the only sport that I did.
How did you do that? Just like at a recreational
CK
gym?
Newsome downtown.
CK
There used to be a guy named Dick used to run the boxing program down there.
Dude. I love a Dick. My favorite Dick is Dick Winters from Band of Brothers. Shout out. I think he passed away. That's crazy though. So that was one of your main things was boxing. You never got into anything else like ground grappling or anything like that?
No, I did MMA for 7 years after.
Really?
I left for the Army, came back, and I started with a guy named Scott Hensey, who was like the MMA guy here.
Let's get there.
And I fought for Big Bully for years and years.
So what made you enlist in the Army?
Didn't have any money, and I wasn't going to have anywhere to live.
Hell yeah, brother. Me too. I like that.
They were going to give me $20,000 and a place to sleep while I figured it out, and that was it. I
free food.
I have no allegiance to it whatsoever. It was one of those things where it was like, I remember a roach crawled over my face at the place I was staying at, and I was like, I'm fucking out of here. And I went and I signed up with Sergeant Stevens on the west side the next day to be whatever job they would give me, and with the highest bonus, I was a forward observer.
I love a fister. He's our second fister.
Yeah.
Who was the other fister? Was it Corey? Yeah, Corey was a fister.
Corey what?
Mock. Corey Mock. He was...
he's a bit older than you.
That sounds familiar.
He was Indiana State Police for years, did some weapon sales he was a sales rep for Sig Sauer for years, and he just recently transferred into the construction... No, HVAC, I think. Now he's doing like HVAC sales. Really, really good dude though. Crazy. But yeah, the forward observer, man, that's a cool. So walk me through a little bit, like for maybe the folks at home that didn't see Corey's episode or they don't know what a forward observer is. What was your key responsibility as a forward observer?
Call for fire. So training is essentially you sit up on a hill, you have a pair of binos, you estimate the distance and direction. So it might be you get like 3 subsequent corrections. It's been years since I've done this, but essentially you see a tank out there, you call distance 1200, direction 32, and they'll drop around and it'll be a little bit to the left and a little bit low, and you'll say add 200 right 30, and you're making corrections to try to land a howitzer round on the target.
Walk it in, if you will. I hear a lot of guys say walk
like
it in.
Battlefield.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you're essentially you're not dropping from a plane or anything. You're actually using like 13 Bravo men on howitzer guns,
like a mortar essentially.
Yeah,
so
it is an old mortar system.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I actually did the other side of that job, 13 Delta, which is like the charts and darts portion of it. I reclassed into that, so I understood
the guys like shooting the cannons.
No, the guys who are like actually sending back the refraction directions. So like I send one thing, and it has to be because I'm looking at it from here. And then it goes to another guy who is in another point, and he sends that back to the 13 Bravo so they can redirect everything. So there's actually 3 people in it.
That's crazy. I always thought it was just 2. Like
a lot of these guys get CTE just from shooting the mortar off, right?
I never dicked with the Bravo guys because so it goes infantry and then the 13, or so it's 11 Bravos, then 13 Bravos, and then 13 Fox.
You were 11 Bravo.
I was 11 Bravo.
Yeah.
Babe. I was real close because when you go to basic training and you sign up as an 11 Bravo. They sign you up as an 11X, and the X is because 11 Charlie is that's right. 11 Charlie is the mortar man. But when you're in basic training, they take the Charlies and the Bravos take the exact same basic training. So you don't know if you're going to be a Bravo infantryman or a Charlie mortar man, infantryman kind of.
And I just did mine because I wanted to stay. So I ended up being active duty for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then I was National Guard, so I came back here after that.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. So you went National Guard, not active.
So I did 2 years active, then 4 years National Guard.
Oh, it was 2 years active.
This is back like 2007 where they were like, we'll give you whatever you want and 20 grand. We had low numbers.
We need bodies. Like right now.
We need people as bad as, so I got college first and all kinds of shit, but I muffed up. I got like an 87 on the ASVAB. And whenever I came back, they were like, why did you not do...
Still better than Brian.
A smart person. No, 87's good.
Yeah, I got a 35.
They were like, you can do any job you want. And
dude, the passing score is a 35.
I had no idea. I just knew I wanted the highest bonus I could get, and I didn't want to have to leave Evansville because I wanted to be the firefighter here or a teacher.
So what did you choose for college?
So I got back and I went to USI, and USI just about didn't take me because they were like, your ACT scores were fantastic, but you were a D+ student, which means you're fairly intelligent, but you're really lazy, and you'll probably flunk out. And I was like, I won't do that. And I flunked out after one semester.
Oh, yeah, brother.
So they sent me to Ivy Tech, where I actually did hunker down there a little bit more, and I did about a year and a half. I reapplied back out to USI, and I went there until 2011, whenever the Evansville Fire Department sent me a letter and said, hey, you got a job. And at the time, Evansville Fire Department, you'd get 1,000 applicants, and they maybe took 12. So
that's what you wanted to do, right?
I wanted to be a teacher second, but the fire department that was a job you just didn't get. They took 1% of people. They only have a staff of about 300, and they were getting 1,000 applicants every 2 years. And of those thousands, they would take 8 to 15.
Oh yeah, dude.
And
fire department pays better than a teacher.
Oh yeah, too. At the time, I think
like considerably.
2011, I would have started for the EVSC at $33,000 a year, and the fire department started at like 48.
You know who is a teacher? Our mutual friend Adele.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say Matthew. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Matt. He's a teacher out at Castle too, I believe.
Yeah, Matthew's
he's got some tenure though, and he's been there for a while.
He's been there a dog's age by now.
So, training for the fire department, that's kind of wild, isn't it? Don't they like set connexes on fire, and you got to like go
burn
in
rooms,
and get stuff out?
And the worst thing for the fire department, I still help people get ready for it as far as whenever they have questions like, oh, what do I have to get ready for? You do something called a CPAT. And it starts off with you putting on a 50-pound vest and then 25 pounds of shoulder weights, and you have to walk up 18 flights of stairs, it's a Stairmaster 180 steps, which you hear that and you're like,
I could do that.
3 minutes. But 3 minutes with 75 pounds on your back is a lot. The people who really struggle with it, though, it isn't overweight people, big people. It's dudes that are in crazy good shape, but they're 140 pounds, because putting on 75 pounds, you're adding 50% of your body weight. You're not used to that amount. I was 195, 200 whenever I came on. Yeah. And I was still fighting at the time. So I was
pretty tall too.
6 foot, like right at
6 foot. So you walk around now. What are you at right now?
I'm low now. Yeah, like 180. Yeah.
Well, and fighting stamina.
I'm
stamina.
I was in great shape, and I walked through it. But if you're a little guy and you put on 75, that's a lot of weight. But I saw dudes that were 285 pounds and soft and did not work out. They could still get, the cardio was hard after 3 minutes, but that's the worst part. You essentially, to get the job, to be instated and to qualify for the job, you do 3 minutes on Stairmaster at 1 step per second with 75 pounds on.
Right.
It's called the CPAT. You have to do that. You do a hose drag, a dummy drag. You take a sledgehammer and you hit a thing until it dings with a certain amount of PSI. You do a breach and pull with a pike pull. So you lift up weights, then you pull down weights. I think 3 sets of 3-5, 3-5, 3-5. You have to carry 2 saws and wrap it around a thing. Actually, years later, after I had gotten on, my brother Colt was going through a stretch where he worked for the library, didn't like his job. He was just kind of at a spot where he was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, let's start going to the gym together. Let's just,
let's get you started.
Let's work. Somewhere. Well, I just wanted him to work out so I could keep an eye on him. We could spend time together.
Keep him positive. Yeah.
And he went from probably 220 pounds and couldn't bench press 115 to 195 and was repping out like 185, which isn't a crazy amount of weight, but he'd never touched a weight a day in his life.
How many days does it take him to get, or how long was that turnaround?
Like 3 months.
That's a 180 degree turnaround for him. And that's insane.
He got in good shape, and I was like, apply for the fire department. Yeah. And he was like, I won't be a good firefighter. And I was like, no one's a good firefighter.
And this is Colt?
Colt, yeah.
The brother, that's the one that's younger than you?
I'm the youngest. He's 2.5 older than me.
Oh, yeah. Damn.
But I was like, just apply. I was like, no one's good at being a firefighter. No one's ever been good at running into buildings. It's just being intelligent enough to situational awareness, things like that. And having a, good head on your shoulders as far as the job is 98.9% getting along with the guys in the house, not being abrasive, not being an asshole, not picking fights, not splitting hairs over politics, and just doing the job whenever it comes about.
Yeah, what am I responsible for?
Yeah.
And how do I achieve this?
And honestly, most of the runs that you make are EMT related because we run an EMT for the city as well.
Hell yeah. Did you wind up doing that? Did you wind up getting EMT certified as well?
You have to. You have to get.
Oh, you have to?
To be on Evansville Fire Department, you have to be
That's insane. I don't think it's the same everywhere else because one of my buddies is in St. Louis, Collinsville, Illinois, and I don't think he had to, but he just got his EMT cert.
So how long were you a firefighter?
12 years. I did 10 years in Jimtown, Station 10 on Heidelberg, Columbia.
Hell yeah.
And then I knew I was burnt out, and I tried to save my career by going to a slower station. So Station 10 made about 1,700 runs a year. So, and those are everywhere from fire to alarm to Rex to actual, EMT stuff. And I moved to 7, which only does like 300 runs a year. But I was too far burnt out. It was one of those things where I just couldn't.
The frequent flying in Jimtown is probably due to all the cooking incidences that they have. You know what I'm saying?
Jimtown, most of what we make is frequent flyers, but it is people who are extremely poor and homeless, and they just want somewhere warm to stay.
I swear.
So they'll call you day after day.
We've had a couple of warehouse fires
so
here.
A lot of them, that and like a lot of your like mental health places, they fill up real fast in the winter. Crime goes up in the winter because people are cold, so they would rather sit in jail and be warm for a few days than out on the streets.
Or they just want to go sit in the hospital and get food for a little bit. I mean, you feel bad for it. I never, I got up at 2-3 in the morning hundreds of times for the same people that week after week called. There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't want to be sitting on the corner of Columbia and Heidelberg freezing their asses off, and they'd rather go to the emergency room. So we go, all right, I don't care what you're faking. I mean, it's no hair off my ass. I'm going to check your blood pressure, heart rate.
Get you in there, Chief.
Get you in and out.
So in the years of firefighting, that's where we kind of can plug back into.
Well, I did want to ask, you're 12 years in with the fire department at either house. Do you have like a story that sticks out in your head where you were like, man, that was crazy, or man, that was cool?
I worked with a lot of really good guys. So I was fortunate. My first captain ever was a little short guy who was built like my fist. He was round and short, and you would never think a whole lot of him. His name was Bob. He was a fantastic fireman. I had a really good first lieutenant, a guy named Eric, and I had a really good senior private, a guy named John, and they taught me a lot. They were really good to me. They took care of me. Crazy stories. You see a lot. You see gunshot victims and things like that, and protocols make that a nightmare. Yeah. So, for instance, you're essentially governed by a doctor who tells you whenever you're allowed to quit working a patient. And the most ridiculous thing I ever saw was a clear gunshot. They were clearly dead, but they still had a pulse because that takes time to go away, even if you're shot in the head. And we actually had to do compressions on this person while they had a gunshot wound and brain matter was coming out. And we're just sitting there like, wild. And we had to wait until we got a hold of the medical director it's a terrible, gruesome thing. And you're like, no one wants to carry this with them no one wants this trauma of seeing this terrible thing.
Yeah.
But we have to do it because someone painted with broad strokes and said, if they have a pulse. Now, there are certain things like decapitation and things like that. It's immediate. You don't have to work them even if they have a pulse. That one wasn't covered. I made a really bad fire on...
I should also preface that we shouldn't get too gory. I don't know if we talked about that earlier. Tom will pass out. Like blood and guts and stuff. He will drop like a...
I was gonna say, what do you do? What do you do what do you do to cope with stuff like that? Getting out of the fire department.
I was okay. I'm not sure if it was
psychopathy. Probably.
I don't know if it's something that you cope with over time. They call it compassion fatigue and things like that.
Yeah, I get you.
It wasn't that it never bothered me. For me, it was more of these are things that happen in life. People do get in wrecks. They do get shot. It's gruesome and it's terrible, but it's a natural thing. The only things that ever really were tough on me, we made a couple of kids that passed away in fires. We had a really bad fire that was the only time I ever got burnt bad. I got 2nd and 3rd degree on my leg. Old Jimtown house. It was a brick house. They had stuck 2x4s to it and then drywall. We couldn't figure out. We were opening up the hose on straight bore, which is most gallon per minute, and it's not dispersed, so it's not going to steam you, because if you open it up on a fog pattern, it's going to, especially intense heat, It's going to evaporate, it's going to steam, and it's going to burn the shit out of you. If you go straight bore, it's essentially like trying to boil a droplet of water, millions of them, versus a pot of water. So we were straight bore and just getting cooked. And I was at the head of the nozzle with my captain right behind me, and I hit the drywall. And whenever I did, it all fell away. And then we realized what had happened was it was an arson, actually. And you can find out the actual event. But a guy had caught the downstairs on fire, and it ended up killing his daughter, his ex-girlfriend, and his ex-girlfriend's father. So about the time that I hit the drywall and it started to fall away, we realized what had happened was, so it was a brick building. They'd put 2x4s on, and then they drywalled over. We were in an oven because all the fire was between that drywall and the brick and just heating the brick up, and we were getting fucking cooked. I think 7 or 8 firefighters went to the hospital for minor, but I got the worst of it. I had 3rd degree and 2nd degree on my leg, but everyone who was at the top of the stairs got 1st and 2nd degree burns.
Did you get the mermaid skin?
No, I got debrased, but I ended up not having to get that. I was just shy of it, but I had to get debrased twice.
One thing, before Evansville just got the new dog, Indy, I believe, for the fire department. Yeah. Before that, how do they test? Because the dog can now smell accelerants and stuff like that. Now that's on the force. But how did they test for that stuff beforehand? Is it just chemical analysis, or
the people that they send to these schools?
Look at that cutie.
They're good at what they do. I will say, in my experience, generally, if someone's going to burn down a house, just don't use an accelerant, and you'll probably get away with it, because the way they usually teach you is accelerants are going to burn so hot so fast. They can tell based on the pattern. They can tell how quickly it burned, and like, why is it so black here but not everywhere else? It's because there's an accelerant used.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of arson that happened. 90% of the fires we saw, everyone's like, oh, they're probably electrical. A lot of times it's a bad investment someone bought, or homeless people have broken into a vacant house and they're starting fires to
burn barrel.
Yeah. We went through, whenever I first came on, I actually got into station in 2011. And my first 2 years, we had like 25 working house fires. So I got a lot of experience really quick, which that's a lot. Most people get maybe 2 to 5 a year, because we're a fairly large city, and you might be on it, but you're not actually going to be in the door with the hose. You'll be, running the pump, or you're going to be back up. You're going to be on the roof cutting a ventilation hole. There's a lot of jobs that happen. But Jimtown, a lot of vacant houses, a lot of poverty. So there were a lot of people burning houses
How
down.
Sketchy is that, cutting the vent hole? Because you're essentially standing on top of a structure that's
on fire.
It's not fully involved, obviously. Otherwise, they're not up there. But
they'll do it whenever it's fully going. There's pictures of Evansville Fire Department venting a roof. It was the apartment complex on the corner of Burkhart and Lloyd Expressway, and they will do it full fire, blowing out the top, because that's the only if you can't vent through a window, if you can't get inside, that's the only way you can do it.
So how sketchy is that? Because, you could be moments away from
that's why they run those ladders and stuff.
The structural lattice of the internals of that building just giving way.
How
sketchy is that?
Have you done it a lot? I only did ventilation twice on working fires. I was an engine guy, so you have engines, ladders, and squads. And the ladder guys they're a different breed. They like that work. It fucking sucks. You have 80 pounds of gear on, and you're carrying a giant saw up, and you cut a hole and get down as fast as you can. There's a really good photo of a guy named Anthony that I'm friends with. He came on a couple years before me, where him and an older guy were cutting a hole over on Burkhart Road, and you see them walking down the ladder, and it's just eating ass right behind them.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that is not like a dramatic depiction.
This is real shit.
Yeah, that's real, because, and it's not that the fire is waiting to bellow out. It is that the smoke in there is actually combustible, because it's small particles of plastics and other things. Yeah. And as soon as that smoke hits oxygen
it just
that's what a flashover is. And that is what they're doing, is trying to ventilate all that shit out so the fire actually dies down.
Oh God, that makes my nipples hurt. Oh,
so
Jesus.
Getting out of the fire department, where does this story transition into? We kind of mentioned it earlier. You were going through a breakup at the time. You hit up an old buddy. He had you come to his house. What happens when you go to his house?
So I had bought the Mortal Kombat 4. He was like, oh, I got something at my house, and I love Jared. I've always loved Jared. He's always been a funny guy. Our energies are just different.
Yeah.
So I was on a toy buy because I was like, I bought one arcade game. That's it. I didn't have any plans to buy other ones. And a guy called me and he's like, hey, I got a whole ton of toys I want you to come get over in like, it's like an hour and 10 minutes away. And I was like, cool, I'll run my truck up there and I'll get them, bring it over. And I mean, it is boxes and boxes of G.I. Joes and Ninja Turtles and all this shit. And I'm like, this is, you know, I think I gave him like $1,000. It was probably worth $4, but I was going to have to go through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds
Cipher
of items.
what's worth anything.
And like pair the G.I. Joes with their guns so they're complete and worth more money.
Yeah.
And I'm getting in my truck and I was like, man, have a good day. He's like, oh, do you buy arcade games? And I was like, it's crazy you say that. I literally just bought my first one. What do you have? He's like, well, come out here. It is a dirt floor barn, and they're sitting on the dirt. But it's a Centipede, a Miss Pac-Man, and a Ninja Turtles. And I was like, those are 3 quintessential. So I called Jared and I was like, hey, they're out in the barn. They probably don't work. He's like, what do you want for them?
Probably need all new wires from mice.
Everything was fucked.
Yeah, you got mice and spiders. And
so I called Jared and I was like, hey, this guy's got, he's like, what does he want? And I turned to the guy, I was like, hey, what do you want? He's like, $100 each. Just get him out of here. And Jared was like, we'll figure it out. Just put him in the truck.
Buy them.
And we get them all. None of them work. The Ninja Turtle, we still have the Ninja Turtles. It was destroyed by termites. So I learned how to Bondo and scab in wood really quick, and I did all the body work for the longest time. And we rehabbed it and refinished it. And so we had those 3 in his garage, and I brought them back. I dropped off the toys at my house, brought those to him, and he had just moved to Mount Vernon. He's like, what do you want to do with this? And I was like, I'll make you a deal. I was like, I bought them all. I will buy all the parts to fix all of them. You get them all working and you can keep whichever one you want. And I'll take the other 2. And he goes, good, fine by me. He's like, timeline? And I was like, no timeline. I'd love to have a Ninja Turtles. Other than Simpsons, that was like my favorite.
Simpsons was dope, yeah.
That was like my favorite arcade game to play at Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. So he was like, well, you got to come out to my grandparents where my stuff is. And I was like, oh, he's got me now. I got to go check it out.
Yeah.
His grandpa hated it. He hated the hobby. He thought it was a waste of time. And now because I'll forget, Granddad loves us. He thinks what we're doing is wonderful and we're businessmen. His granddad is extremely accomplished businessman. Very, very, very well-known, well-off.
So that's where Jared gets it from.
Yeah.
This is checking out.
Yeah. So we got those 3, and I went to his granddad's where he kept a bunch of his crap, and he had saved a Playboy from the old Harpole's bar that was like half caught on fire, and he had 2 or 3 really good games
put out on it.
He had a couple games that were in pretty good shape and a couple pieces of crap. And he was like, you should come down to Louisville with me to this bar called Zanzibar that my buddy Ann sounds.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So couple weeks, like he's been working on the games, and I come out there and I'm sanding them and peeling everything off and getting them filled with Bondo, and I'm watching YouTube videos about how to like build a form so I can get a good 90-degree angle, and I'm having to learn how to use a router to cut for the T-molding that piece of plastic on them and shit. Yeah. So we're learning. So we go down to Zanzibar, and
Is this it right here?
Yeah, Z-Bar. It's about 100-year-old, owned by the same family. A dude named Ants owns it. One of the nicest dudes in the bar or pinball industry.
Looks like a bathroom floor.
He runs that too. That is actually not Zanzibar. It's another thing that he runs down in Louisville in a food hall. But Zanzibar is like it's a really famous music venue. Like they had Fiona Apple played there back whenever she was popular and shit. And
it looks like Jack White built it.
Yeah, it's a music venue first that he decided to do he was like one of the first arcade bars because he had that shit set up in like 1998.
Wow. Oh yeah.
So we go down there, and this is back whenever me and Jared both still drank at least once a week, and it was like a 12 beer every time kind of drink.
Dump the clutch.
So we go down there, and we get there like 5, and it is midnight, and we're absolutely shithoused, and we've eaten their hot brown sandwich that is wonderful, and we play some of their pinballs, and we're just talking about it. I knew nothing about pinball. I knew a little bit now about arcade games, and Jared, he liked pinball more, and we played some of the games, and I was like, we could do this. There's only like 20 games in here, and it's hopping, and they're here for more than just the game. We already
have 6.
Yeah. But I was like, we could do this. And he's like, yeah, we could. And I was like, yeah, but why would we? Like, you sell insurance and do well, and I'm a firefighter. And we went back to the hotel, passed out, woke up the next day, drove home, didn't talk to him for probably a month. And I called him, and I was like, we should do that. He's like, what? I was like, do an arcade bar. And he was like, Yeah, we should. He was on board immediately. We both had the same thought. I think I breached it first. And we, at that point, started working on games and looking for them and actually seeking them out. And I had a lot of connections because of action figures and buying. I went everywhere.
You're in that world already.
Yeah. So I went from here to Ohio to Indianapolis to Michigan. I would buy truckloads of toys already.
What's the furthest you've ever gone to buy something?
To buy an arcade game?
For High Score, yeah.
Oh, fuck. So I've shipped stuff from Japan now. I don't drive anymore. But the furthest I ever drove, Jared drove to Des Moines, Iowa, so like 7.5 hours away.
That's a jog, brother.
Yeah,
Iowa's a jog.
We've gone to Chicago multiple times. We've gone to Alabama a couple times. He went to Florida one time for something, but it was like right on the Panhandle. But back whenever we didn't have money, so I mean, essentially the way we got started is we had done this, and I used to fight for a guy named Jeff who owned an organization called Hook and Shoot.
I remember Hook and Shoot here in Evansville. Yeah.
I used to fight on that years and years ago, and he was opening up a little comic shop called Secret Headquarters.
That's an 8-hour, 3-minute drive, just for the record, folks.
Yeah. We did.
That's a jog.
That was for a Hook pinball because Jared loves the movie Hook more than anything. So we had to have it.
Oh, yeah. I get it.
But a guy that I used to fight for was opening up a comic shop, and I messaged him, and I was like, hey, I've got like 5 arcade games. Let me put them in there. It'll like kind of make it more of a retro thing, and we'll split the money. And he was like, no, it's not. That's stupid. Arcades aren't big. I was like, yeah, but they're making a comeback. I was like, they're never going to be a standalone arcade is never going to make money. But if you pair something with it, like beer or a comic shop, it just adds to the atmosphere. He's like, no, it's dumb. I was like, do me a favor. Just put it up there and see what people say. So he put a really generic like picture that he found on Google, copyright infringement, IP infringement of like 5 games. And he's like, we're going to have arcades here. And it went bonkers. It got like 1,200 likes in 24 hours. And he called me. He's like, how many games can you get me? And I was like, 15.
None. We're opening our
15?
own place.
Yeah.
And we managed to, and we were I was using every spare cent that I had from my checks to get them. So we ended up filling up like a 100 square foot room with like 15, 20 games. I think it was like 15 or 16 to start. And it was not killer shit. Like we had the staples like Galaga, Miss Pac-Man, Ninja Turtles, X-Men, Q*bert, Donkey Kong.
Simpsons?
No, we didn't have that one yet.
Oh, son of a bitch.
It was nothing crazy good, but he charged $5 an hour and then $2.50 for each additional hour. And we'd already put a game at a comic shop down in Owensboro called Big Bang Toys and Comics. And it made like, the first time we ever made money, we had 2 in a bowling alley and 1 there. And we made like $300 the first month. And we were like, holy shit, we can buy half an arcade game with this. And we just thought it was cool to make residual income.
We're on to something here.
So we did. I didn't really know if that would work, but I knew what our goal was, which was an arcade bar. And we did the Secret Headquarters thing. And after a month went by, he told me, he's like, it did $4,000. So the split was 25, 25, 50. So me and Jared each got $1,000.
Right.
And that's whenever we went, and Jared was like, and I was like, we're doing nothing but buying more games. Like this is our springboard onto what's next.
We're jumping into this 100%.
So everything we had we were there for about 18 months, and everything that we made went directly into buying more arcade games. Fast forward about, I think he opened in 2015. Fast forward 2016, I'm looking.
The Secret Headquarters did? Okay.
Yeah. I'm looking everywhere for retail spaces to open up a bar. I didn't realize how hard it was to open up a bar because of liquor licenses.
Oh, yeah.
It's miserable. The only place we could get it done was downtown because they have something they're trying to revitalize it.
Trying to bring people in.
So your liquor license, instead of having to buy one as a piece of property, which is how it operates here, you get a 1-year license for $1,000 but you don't own anything. You are given a ticket that says you are allowed to sell beer for a year, and your expense on that is $1,000. Whereas generally buying a liquor license in Indiana, it is like buying a house. You have essentially a deed that this deed comes with me, and I can put it in a different building, and I can now serve alcohol there.
Can I put it in 2 different buildings?
No.
So it's like 1 per establishment.
Yeah. But you can take that liquor license and move it to a different building, and they sell for like $80,000 now. It's no joke.
And it's a one-time fee, right? Like you just pay the $80,000 once.
Well, you're not getting it from the government. You're buying it from me or my dad, who bought a liquor license 90 years ago. It's a really fucked up system.
That establishment.
Yeah.
Before, and then now that you're buying this building, the option for you to buy the liquor license is there, but you've got to pay the $80,000, right?
Yeah. So if I were to buy Lamasco Bar, she can sell that liquor license to me, and I can go open up a bar on the east side with it, and then you just get an empty bar. Or you get an empty building.
Lamasco's.
But
so it's
Lamasco
more of a tangible thing. Like
it moves around. Yeah. So a bar is not just a bar. A bar has to have a liquor license, and it's two different pieces of property. So if you buy a bar, you're usually buying the liquor license and the property.
That's
in Indiana. It's a fucked up. It's a fucked up system, and it's very unfair, and it's very predatory.
Yeah, it seems so.
So you're basically, when you guys open, you're like leasing a liquor license until you can find somebody.
They want to revitalize downtown Evansville, and they did back in 2017 too. So they were offering something called a redevelopment district license that is $1,000, and I was like, I can swing 1,000. I can't swing 35.
Yeah.
I found this little basement. It had failed multiple times. 323 Main Street. It had been a wine bar. It had been a sushi bar called Babel. And no one had rented it for like 2 years. So I got a hold of this guy, Mike, and I was like, hey, we want to open up an arcade that serves, we're just going to want to do beer and wine.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, sure. Like that would be great. We go through a bunch of stuff. We make announcements. I get stuff made. This is, we opened up in December. This is back in like April.
Oh yeah. This is right below that crazy church place. Yeah.
It's right. So the church is to the right, and then we're right there underneath it. Yeah. So we're in the basement of that. So I get a cease and desist letter like a month and a half later. And I was like, what is this? So the condo association had language that said any business can come down here and they're allowed to serve beer, wine, liquor. You're just not allowed to be a bar. And I was like, we're literally that. We're an arcade we are an arcade that is just serving beer. We're not even going to have hard liquor. And they were like, that's a bar. So lawsuit began.
Are you shitting me?
We got sued before we ever made $1. So I had about 30.
That's why no one's business is working out down there.
Yeah. So so they ended up being really good people, and I understood why. There was a bar down there previously called Babel. There was a sushi bar, and they would leave raw fish in the trash cans. We'll take it out the next day. And these are $150,000 to $400,000 condos above them that are just reeking of fish. And I'd been to Babel back whenever my buddy ran it.
Yeah.
He would overserve everybody. Yeah, everywhere. Everyone left there so drunk you were throwing up out front.
Yeah, just blacking out.
It was a college bar in a multi-million-dollar condo associate. It should have never happened. I understood their grief with it. They sued us.
Wild.
I had about 30 grand set aside, and down to the penny, I knew how much it was going to cost us probably to get open. And that lawsuit ate up $20,000 like that real quick. Oof. Ate up $20,000 for them to eventually go, okay, you guys, you're good.
You're legit.
It came to a head where they knew who we were to some degree. I mean, they had a lawyer. They were combing our Facebook. If we had ever fucked up and called it a bar, they would have had us dead to rights, because the language was a business can operate down here and serve beer, wine, liquor. It just can't be a bar. I at no point on any of the social media called us a bar, because I truly in my heart didn't feel like we were a bar. We wanted to be an arcade that offered beer. I didn't really care about the alcohol part that much.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck E. Cheese now offers beer.
I knew that was what was going to make the money, but it was about the games for me, and it still is and always will be.
Do you think they would have gotten a little saucy had you guys maybe started offering like some tuna wraps or anything?
No, they didn't like us. They didn't like. They're like, well, it's gonna be loud because it says no bowling alley down here. I'm like, we're not gonna. They tried to pick us apart in every way, and I think they started to realize like they were probably gonna lose. And everyone's, unfortunately, it was me and Jared. We spent about $20,000 on our lawyer. They had like 6 members. So those 6 people, they only spent like $3,500. But we were at one of our last meetings, and there was a really nice guy who was running the condo association who I like him. He's a great person. I have utmost respect for him. He was just acting in the interest of a bunch of 50 plus people who just didn't want us in the basement.
Right.
And we had gone to court yet again, and it got pushed back yet again because they were just trying to wear us out. And we were sitting there, and he was like, I know this isn't your fault. This is the guy who rented it to you wasn't upfront and honest about what we would allow.
That sucks.
He was like, so just back out of this. He's like, just back out, and we'll deal with him. And you guys can get out of this. He's like, because he will let you out of that lease. He's like, we'll make sure of it. He's like, what is it going to take for you guys to just go away and let us deal with the gentleman? And me and Jared were
such a brash way.
$40,000.
What's it going to take for you guys? Just
we were sitting at the courthouse because we never made it into the courtroom. We would sit on benches. The lawyers would go in for 3 minutes. Nothing would happen. I would get a bill for $4,000, and they'd say, "Hey, we have to come back in a month. We have more stuff to talk about."
That's the worst.
So that happened like 3 times. And so the guy who ran the condo association was like, "What is it going to take for you guys to go away?" And it probably wouldn't have worked, but I was so mad that we just got dismissed in 2 minutes for like the 3rd time. I turned to him and I said, "I'm going to make you fucking kill me to ever go away." And the next day we got a letter, they were dropping it. And Jared was like, "I think he thought you were going to mortgage your house." I was like, "I would." I was so mad at that point. I would have sold my retirement. I was so pissed.
Before we go any further, I fucking love that attitude.
I was furious.
Hell yeah, dude.
I was mad because it was a bunch of rich people using their money to make sure we didn't get to do it.
Yeah, empty my pockets. Oh, fuck you.
And I think that was their plan because they're all very affluent, wealthy people.
Yeah,
I didn't understand why they were so upset initially. I didn't understand that the guy who was renting to us had let multiple bad eggs move in. Yeah, and I just had to kind of quell and be like, "We're not going to be those people."
We're
and
not
we weren't.
turds.
And you guys did it right.
Yeah, we were there for 5 years, and we had like one noise complaint the entire time. Because if people got crazy or we didn't overserve people, but if they got out of hand, we just said, "Hey guys, we're here for fun. You're not." We had one fight the entire time. It was actually a buddy of mine punched another buddy of his, and we had no problems. And they actually really softened to us. And years later, they were like, "We are so sorry. We went through all that. We didn't know your character. We didn't know you guys would run it like this."
Like, also, can I get that fucking $20K back?
So the reason High Score opened the way it did is we had secret headquarters. We were making this money. We saved up all this money. I knew how much it was going to cost. We got sued, and it was like November, about this time, like November 25th, 30th. And I said, "Hey, we're going to open up in 2 weeks" to Jared. He was like, "We're not ready." I said,
"We have to.
We're opening up in 2 weeks.
Get ready."
I said, "We're just going to have to fucking do it." The day we opened, we had $600 left in the bank account. And I told him, I said, "This is either going to work really big or we are really fucked." Yeah. And
bankruptcy is in both of our near futures.
In the first month, it was now it would be like a crummy week. But our first month, we did so much. We were able to, we had 20 grand packed back in the bank in 2 months.
That's awesome.
We also I didn't pay myself for 3 years. So that is a consideration too.
Well, you kept the
fire department job. Jared left his job immediately because we needed
Was he getting paid for those 3 years?
Yes. He got paid a whopping $2,000 a month for the first 2 years.
So he's essentially not getting paid.
Yeah,
Roger that.
He made no money. Yeah. He made enough to survive.
He's still eating ramen, just praying to God this works out.
How many years ended until you guys opened Ready Player 2?
So we had been working on arcade games since 2012. So we were 5 years in by the time we got fucked the first time doing this.
Yeah.
And then Player 2 was really never supposed to exist. We were paying a fortune in storage unit fees. And I told Jared, I was like, everyone always wants us, because we did charity events, like we did the student lunch debt payoff and other shit. We did some pretty large scale charity events for the community, and people always like, "Oh, what about a place for kids?" And I was just like, I watched 2-Bit Bandit fail,
But they stayed open a while. They made it a while.
Yeah. They made it.
A portion of that was batting cages.
Yeah.
I think batting cages
and basketball, and they just made it off their name alone. That whenever the original people sold it to the next guy, he didn't know what he was doing. Really nice guy, but he just didn't have any experience. He just thought arcade games work, and they don't. They're constant maintenance.
It's like a vending machine.
Yeah. I mean, they're the worst because kids are beating the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'd love to do something for kids, but it just won't make any money. And then, so Secret Headquarters essentially called me one night, and he was like, "I want you guys out." And we were like, "What?" Well, we had a disagreement, a couple of them. And his feeling was we were giving way too much attention to the bar, and it was going to hurt his business that he didn't want in the first place, the arcades. And I was just like, okay. So he pushed us out. He got his own arcade games, and we took all of ours from there, which was like 25. And we had a couple failures. Like we opened up at Comic Quest, and I
didn't know all this stuff.
It wasn't a good fit. Comic Quest is wonderful. I've been going there since I was
They're just a little
itty bitty.
Tucked back. And
that was back when they were Rural King, and they did great business, but comics and arcade games, I learned, does not always have a fold over. You have comic people, you have arcade people, and you have people like me who just like the pop culture.
Yeah.
We failed there. And then I just told Jared, I was like, what if we just, because I don't want to pay storage unit fees for 40 arcade games. We're talking at $1,500 a month. I was like, what if I find a little shitty building on the west side that's ready and we could drop 10 grand on it and maybe just break even? We did. And we signed the lease on January 1st of 2020. And of course, nothing bad happened in 2020. So we signed it and then COVID fucking hit.
Motherfucker.
So fortunately, our landlord was a really cool dude named Jared. And he was like, I'm not going to charge you guys rent until you can open. Dude. Which is the only cool thing a landlord has ever done
about
for me.
it, Jared. You know what I mean? They're just good dudes.
Dude, he is like the most up-home country.
This is the
grassroots dude.
This is the one on Sontag.
Yeah,
Mount Vernon and Sontag.
Yeah. Okay, I know.
So we opened up that. Never thought we'd make a dime, and arguably didn't. I think our first year we did like 40,000 in sales, which is nothing for
when
a brick
you
and
consider
mortar.
what you have to pay for the place.
Yeah, rent, utilities. Because
rent,
we've always maintained like a. I think our lowest we ever paid was $13 an hour, and that's starting like 2017. Our minimum wage right now is $16.50. So we've which isn't, it's not great, but it's a hell of a lot better than most. I mean, you don't get factory jobs around here that pay $17 an hour. My door guy makes $17 an hour.
That's insane. Yeah.
So we try to take care.
Shoots on you for that, dude. That's awesome.
To me, it's always been it is the right thing to do because I worked for poverty wages, and I was like, this is not right. You have a Corvette.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't need a Corvette.
Gas is $5 a gallon, bro. When we were kids, dude.
I worked at Domino's making shit money, and I worked at multiple businesses, local places too. Mom and pops also don't care about people. FYI, a lot of them don't. Some of them do, but corporate and mom and pop, it's just the mom and pop is the guy who hasn't made it yet. But people always ask me like, "Oh, like you'd never sell out," and I'm like, I would wear the fucking rat suit tomorrow if you gave me $2 million. I don't care. Right. I want my people to get paid.
Oh yeah, dude.
I want to keep my vision within a certain standard, but like, you know, we added claw machines. I don't like claw machines, but claw machines make great money and it allows me to pay my guys good wages and give them paid vacation.
Dude, I fucking love a claw machine.
They do great. People dig the hell out of them. We just put 12 in.
Fucking Toy Story. That's when my love of claw machines happened.
Oh yeah, really? I think that was our entire generation.
The little aliens, dude, where it's just like, dude.
So
fuck yeah, bro.
This player 2 pretty much came out of I didn't want to pay storage unit fees, and I found a building and we built it out, and it did okay. We were able to pay our guys. We would work like a shift a week, and I think for that we paid ourselves like $150 a month. So I was paying myself like $2 an hour to work there or something. Oh, yeah. But I wasn't paying a bunch of storage unit fees and because we like to swap games. So if you have 50 on the floor, you need to have 100 so you can rotate them out and keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And then I expanded we had the opportunity to move next door, and I was like, we can either keep doing this.
Next door on Main Street?
No, next door at the kids' arcade.
Okay.
And I was like, we can either keep just trudging along and making no money, or I can try to take this from a little hobbyist spot to an actual attraction, and we'll import games from Japan. I'll spend another $30,000, $40,000 on new games. We'll build out party rooms. And I got the blessing of Jared to do it. And we went from to holy shit, this actually not makes a ton of money, but it makes money now.
Comfortable overhead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, brother.
And then we got the chance to buy the building that we're at down on Main Street. So
what's the building you're at now?
It's a block away. It's 309 Main Street. It used to be an antique store called Decades of Design. We actually bought the building. The holes in the roof were so big I could jump through the roof into the attic. We spent $700,000 rehabbing the building.
Oh, yeah. It's a good thing that wasn't expensive.
Yeah, I'm married to that building until I die.
Yeah, you should. You should stay there for a while.
Yeah.
You should not move.
So is this eventually going to be like a multi-level arcade?
We are working on the second floor. We had funding for it from the bank. We got approved for the SBA. Then the government shutdown happened, and SBA loans are obviously governmental loans.
Is this what we were talking about pre-recording? The SBA thing? Are you okay talking about
I don't mind.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing.
But it was all for moving to the second floor.
Yeah. Right. So we were going to open up a music venue, comedy club. I'm a big comedy show guy.
Oh, yeah, brother.
I got featured in a guy named Jeff Arcuri, if you know who that is. I was in one of his things. I was in one of his videos whenever he had like 20,000 followers, and now he blew up.
What's his name?
Jeff Arcuri. He's really funny. He does the best crowd work I've ever seen.
Fuck yeah.
I went to see him in Chicago because I started going to more. I've seen Bill Burr and Tom Segura before he got really big too. And a lot of these guys, I used to just travel around and go to comedy shows.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want Evansville to have comedy.
God,
and
so
not just like a dude who went to my high school and tells jokes. I want to bring in other comedy acts too.
Yeah,
and,
get a guy from Milwaukee down here.
Yeah, I mean, you can have your local guys do openers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you have the same guy doing comedy at 4 bars in a week, it doesn't work. Just like live music doesn't work if you watch the same people play every week.
Yeah.
So our second floor is about 4,400 square feet, blank canvas. We got approved for another massive soul-crushing loan to do that. It was through all the paperwork. I had to do it multiple times and go through massive, like, how much inventory do you have? How much cash is in the bank? Let me see what's in your Roth IRA. What's your equity? Tons and tons and tons of forms.
Just loophole after loophole, jumping.
And we got
hoops.
to the finish line, and I called him. I was like, "Hey, you said we'd be ready like October. We'd have some funds released." He said, "Yeah, man, it's an SBA loan. The government shutdown just pushed this all back." And because it pushed it back, whenever you do a loan, there's like an amortization period where you have to resubmit everything.
Fuck,
because it's been more than like they need updated financials.
But the beauty of it is that like the Evansville comedy scene is dying for a place like this.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
they're all gonna eat it up.
We'll do music shows too, because like I love a lot of the bands that come here, but like I want to see. I don't need to see a big band, but like I'd love to see a medium-sized band like Built to Spill or something that I listened to whenever I was a kid that can draw a crowd of 300-400.
Yeah, dude.
I don't need to have the Ford Center. I want to see it like the Bluebird up in up in Bloomington.
Oh, Bluebird.
Yeah.
Crushes, dude. That's where I saw Corey Smith for the first time.
It's a
amazing
good
venue.
medium-sized venue that's intimate, but they can get 400 people in there at $20 a ticket. They can pay their overhead. They make money on drinks. And I was like, Evansville has a massive venue that can't fill anything. The Ford Center, if it's not country or like Disturbed, it's not coming close to selling out.
Yeah,
it just is what it is. And the Victory can have some pretty good sized shows, and they're considerably smaller, but I'm like, we need a good medium sized venue. So that is my next and probably final endeavor for business in Evansville. It's not fun running a business here. The bureaucratic tape is
I want to get into that. Explain that.
Well, I wouldn't dabble with that. You don't want to hurt business.
Well, let's talk about it from like a municipality standpoint. What is the worst part about finagling? Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
What's the worst part about like what's so painful? Because just as someone who like you're talking to someone who's essentially an entrepreneur, I'm not really an entrepreneur, but I could see myself getting on board or becoming invested in something. But like, what is the worst part about opening shop in Evansville, Indiana, and like running a business here as a smaller business?
Entities do not communicate with each other. So the building commission does not talk to the Evansville Water Sewer Commission, does not talk to the fire department, does not talk to zoning, does not talk to...
You saw this happen in Boonville with Stoner's Bar and Grill.
Yeah, you get different answers from different people. Stoners that just got torn down, I believe.
Yeah, and they got fined.
Yeah,
they had so Stoners was attached to like a 3-building complex, and the state, like the building over here, that was attached to Stoners but not Stoners, was like falling apart. So the city took a bid. They came and tore it down, but when they tore it down, they damaged Stoners. So Stoners had to close, and then they were getting fined for being damaged. And so, like, it was a whole ordeal. Stoners couldn't open, and eventually Stoners was like, just tear down.
I'll tell you what happened on our side that really soured me was we hired an architect, which is not a cheap endeavor, but our building was so big, we had to go through electrical diagrams, plumbing, because, like, some things are very understandable, like grease traps. We should have had those in Evansville years and years ago. It destroyed the infrastructure that we didn't have them. We went through all this, had fire plans, escape plans, how the electrical was all going to run, how the layout was going to be.
Yeah.
You have to have capacity because obviously, you don't want to have a scenario where there's 400 people in a 100 capacity place, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, like first world country type of thing.
We get to the finish line and the fire department comes in and goes, "Where's your alarm system?" And I was like, we don't have to have one. He goes, "Well, yeah, you do." And I said, "These are the plans that you signed off on that are allowed by the state. We meet all state mandates." And he goes, "No, you have to have one. They forced us to put a $40,000 alarm system in a week before we were supposed to open. So on top of me having to draw $40,000 out of my retirement to cover it, because we are low on money again, it also pushed us back opening 3 weeks at like the busiest time of the year, like June, July.
Right.
For no reason other than a guy did not look over the paperwork properly. And you have a lot of stuff come across your desk, but Evansville is not well funded. We do not have the people in the positions that there need to be to do these things. You have people that are well-intentioned and good guys wearing 3 hats that should not be wearing 3 hats. You need to have one really good guy wearing one really good hat instead of one guy wearing 3 really shitty hats. And that tends to be what you have.
Right.
And now with Centerpoint, our water bills are through the roof too, because
down at the whole city of Evansville is through the roof. I was just talking to Jeremiah about that the other day.
I just made a post about this because it's actually, I'm a numbers person. It drives Jared crazy that I know how much we have spent on everything ever. Whenever we went to get this last loan, I look a certain way and I understand that, but we went to the bank to get a certain loan and I had done projections for 12 months.
You're like the accountant of what is it, a barcade?
Yeah. I do all of our numbers. And whenever we went to get the next loan for the upstairs, they were like, you did all these projections, right? And I was like, yeah. She's like, do you know you were within 0.5% of every single month? She's like, we've never had anyone be that accurate. And I was like, this is all I do. I love numbers more than anything. And I made a post on Facebook about this. It is now cheaper to live in Indianapolis, Louisville, and St. Louis than it is Evansville because of our utility fees.
What the fuck?
You extrapolate that further. So yeah, to get a house in Louisville, they're more expensive. Yeah. You're going to have a mortgage that might be $1,000.
Yeah, but you're paying wages higher.
Yeah. So not only is your paying wage higher, you have to think about it like this. If you buy a house in Louisville and it costs $1,000 a month and your house in Evansville costs $700 a month, well, your utilities already bring you up to that $1,000. But the house in Louisville is also going to appreciate in value considerably more because it's a larger metropolitan area with more job opportunities.
Yeah, so you're gaining on an investment.
You're gaining on it both sides because there's more job opportunities to make more money. Evansville is no longer a good place to live for affordability. I have been wanting to move to St. Louis and work remotely for a while because they're going to force people out.
Have you thought about franchising and opening something like this in St. Louis?
No, as much as I say I'll wear the rat suit, I would never want someone to put their hands in something that I put my name on. I do still love what we do. I do still very much. There's certain things we don't do that people like I'll sell out a little bit. Like we'll do little things. If I still think it's in good taste and good fun, I'll do it. But if it's something that is just bogus and ugly and dumb, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do something that I don't believe in. I would just go back and get another corporate job if I hate it.
Right.
So yeah, it's just, to franchise, to me, I respect the people that do it because that is a massive undertaking. You have to really have organizational skills to put people in positions to do the things that you want done. I'm way too much of a control freak. That's probably the better answer. I'm a control freak. Right. And I wouldn't do well with it.
I'm going to rattle off a bunch of ADHD questions here. You ready?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What are your, do you have a game that you refuse to put out on the floor? It's like your pride and joy.
No, because I honestly, I'm a firm believer, me and my ex-girlfriend, we played a game called Animal Crossing together. Never thought I would like it. You don't fight anything. You don't really do anything. You just make a little town. It's not even like The Sims, but you're a little guy and you have animal neighbors. But I played it and it really helped my depression during COVID just to have something. Right. But then I like, today I was playing a Metroidvania, which is, like a Castlevania or Metroid style game. And I'll play Final Fantasy games and RPGs. And I grew up on World of Warcraft and Ultima. I think all games are good. It's just, is it the game? I think all art is good. It's interpretive. So I would never not put something out because I thought it sucked. I think
I just meant if you got one of these games that was like your pride and joy, like your favorite game that you don't want to put it in the store for somebody, kid.
Something you're hoarding.
So Medieval Madness is a pinball machine I always wanted. That game is $12,000 and I put it on the floor for people to beat the shit out of. Wow. So after that, I'm like, I've never owned a car that cost $12,000. Right. I drove here in a 2002 Ford Ranger with 207,000 miles.
Yeah, dude.
My pinball machines are more valuable than anything I own.
What about, so you said Jared does most of the repair stuff other than like cosmetic and like boxes. You said you do a lot of that work. Did you ever try?
A little bit. It was one of those things. And I know how to do enough to be dangerous. I can do like drop targets. I can do a little bit on flippers. I can replace a button. But it's one of those things, whenever you hire a general contractor, the plumber does the plumbing and the electrician does the electrical work. We found out really quick.
He was better and made less mistakes.
If I started putting him on like, hey, go do inventory, or he was like, hey, can you go fix this? It was better for us to just go, let it be broken for a day. Let it not be done for the day. Wait till the person who's good at it does it, because you're just more efficient doing what you're good at. Now, in emergency situations, I can handle a lot, and Jared can too.
Like if Jared's away on vacation,
the happy medium that we actually found was Jared has about 8 games upstairs at all times, at least fully working. So if one of our games if Jared's on vacation and 7 games break down, I just start getting in the elevator and bringing working games down and replace them.
Oh, thank God you have an elevator.
Yeah. How much harder is a pinball to restore than an arcade game?
So hard that we don't do it. We will get them working, but as far as like the play field, if it's blown out, that's a piece of wood that had lacquer and hand paint.
Yeah.
We'll get them working, but your standard arcade machine is going to have Miss Pac-Man. You have a joystick that is a 4-way, 8-way joystick, depending on the game. So it has joystick that fits in here, has a little like E-clip, a locking clip, and it can go a certain amount of ways. It has switches. So you
like
have
a stick shift in a vehicle.
Yeah, except for this is just switches where whenever I move the joystick that way, 2 little things touch and they tell it to go that way. So you have 4 to 8 of those, depending, usually 4, but some of them are double pronged anyway. And then you have, like on Galaga, you have a button that lets you fire, which is, again, you can press it, 2 little things touch and tells the game to fire. Pinball machine, you have a flipper that has to have a proper flipper coil in it, has to have a proper sleeve and into stroke switch. Every mechanism on there, from like whenever a ball goes into a hole and kicks out, you have a solenoid of some kind in there that kicks that out. Everything that like goes and scores a point, there is some kind of opto that sends a relay to the board to tell it to do that. I mean, a pinball machine inherently has 3 to 5 boards in it. So you're going to have your like sound board, sound and voiceover, power board, your MPU, which is essentially the computer. You might have like a driver board. An arcade is simple. In addition to, they don't have a 1-ounce ball bearing bouncing around at 35 miles an hour hitting shit. If you look at the bottom side of a pinball machine versus the inside of an arcade machine, you'll go, I get it immediately.
Yeah,
that's just
beat
the first time I saw the inside of a pinball machine, whenever they flip up the playfield, I went, I don't want to ever own any of those, Jared. And he convinced me to, and now we have 40 of them.
What about, so on the west side, there used to be a place next to Family Video where like people could go in and like rent out like a LAN lobby basically, or like a place to play COD and stuff like that. Is that in the cards for you guys for the future? Some old Halo parties upstairs? Or?
We have had LAN parties and we're going to have more. So I grew up on a game called Ultima Online, which was like the original world. It was the first MMORPG ever made. And then I played World of Warcraft. I've played every MMO. We actually have a guy that throws a LAN party like every year at the kids' arcade, which is weird because they just rent out the party room and bring computers and don't touch anything else.
Wow.
They just love the atmosphere.
Right.
And that's really cool for me because I was it wasn't even Call of Duty back then. It was a game called Unreal Tournament and Doom and things like that you played online.
Dude, how
I play a lot of Tribal Wars and Age of Empires. I was getting down on some Age of Empires before this. So fun.
I actually just played the original Warcraft 2, where you're like the citizens and the orcs and you have to like run mobs of people over. I'm a big DOSBox guy, like the games from the 80s and 90s. Those are the coolest shit in the world to me.
Hell yeah, dude. I never got into the RPGs, like the Final Fantasies.
Oh, well, that's like, I mean, Skyrim was the first RPG I got into.
And that's even like that's like open later. World RPG.
Yeah. And then, Elden Ring comes out, and now they did Red Dead Redemption and stuff along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
What's been one of your favorite parts about owning the arcade?
Favorite memories are things that will spiral out of control in a good way. So like we used to do a charity night one Friday a month, and it would be like essentially all the pinballs, anything you put into them, we would donate to charity. We'd have a $5 cover and all that money would go to charity. And one month I did student lunch debt for the EVSC because I was a free lunch kid.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have a whole lot. We raised like $1,400. It was a really cool cause. And I called Maureen afterward, who was my contact, and I was like, hey, I'm going to bring you this check. She's like, yeah, sure. I went into her office. I gave it to her and I was like, yeah, it's so cool. She's like, oh, thank you guys so much. I was like, yeah, how much more is left on the student lunch debt? Because you never really think about it. And this is just kids who owe 30 cents or $1 at a time.
Yeah.
And she was like, do you really want to know? And I was like, well, yeah, like I'm asking. And it was like $54,000. And I was like, holy shit. So we spent the next month rallying. This is 2019. We rallied multiple businesses to pay off the student lunch debt. Yeah. I think we donated that money to someone's veteran bill. We've given away way too much money.
You can never give away enough money.
But for the student lunch debt, we got like a car lot, tattoo studio, a coffee shop. We paid off enough of the student lunch debt that the state of Indiana took notice. And I want to say they ended up like relieving the rest of it and then doing free lunches for the entire summer for the EVS.
That's awesome.
No.
We need to get Mission first to hit up them.
No kidding, dude. That's a really good plug. Remind me. Yeah. Don't let us forget. We need to talk about that when this is over.
And then we just did the Tri-State Food Bank. You always see people who are like, oh, like, thank you so much to our patrons, to our customers. So the government shut down again. We were on government assistance for a short time, whenever my dad was gone and things like that.
Absolutely.
So I donated $1,000 through our business to the Tri-State Food Bank, because for every dollar equated to 6 meals, which is an insane ratio.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the best bang for your buck. And I challenged other businesses. I was like, you always talk about how much you love your patrons and how much you love Evansville. Show it. And I called it shaming, and it was shaming. I shamed enough businesses. We ended up getting that we were able to record $27,000 was donated to them in 24 hours.
So you bullied 26 people into getting.
So what we did is I started doing a leaderboard. I was like, who's going to beat us? Because here's 1,000. The next person did like 1,002. And the next person did like 1,003. And then someone, I think an eye doctor came, they're like, we're going to do $3,000.
Oh yeah.
And we actually had 2 individuals. One's a guy named Scott, who's just a great dude. He donated 1,000, and then some lady from Newburgh donated the most, like $3,500.
Wow.
Oh yeah, dude. Big shoots to her.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
I found out really quick that the coolest things we do are always it's an idea that we're like, let's just see if we can get it to catch on. Let's just see if we can make it go viral. Like we put up that billboard that said,
let's go bully some people for money.
They have it.
Fuck them.
Like, you have money. I see the shit you have in your business.
Yeah.
I know what a new cooler costs.
I know what kind of car you drive, dude.
So you can give $1,000 for 6,000 meals to feed the community that you say you care about.
Your ethos, like your aura, dude, is very. I'm on board with everything you're selling, dude. The fact that you drive an O2 Ranger, the fact that you're selfless, the fact that you've busted ass and rolled the dice so many times that you've lost count at this point, like
it was always
you just have a lot of courage and a lot of selflessness in you.
I never wanted to, because I made money. So everyone asked why I quit the fire department. There was a time I think I made like $120,000 a year, and I went, that was the worst year of my life. I worked too much. I worked so many hours, and all I did was put imaginary numbers in an imaginary hole, which is a bank.
Yeah.
I will never want a jet ski. I don't want a new car. I like my little house. And I was like, I miss my dog. At the time I was with a girl who I loved very much.
Yeah. I miss my girl.
Her mom had a terminal illness, and I wasn't able to be there for them the way that I wanted to be. And I was able to quit to be there for them the last 6 months she was with us. And I was like, none of this matters. It's all, I'm going to die one day.
It's all imaginary.
I'm not going to care about it. All I'm going to care about is, you need to make enough money to live and maybe some emergencies and take care of people around you. But you can do a lot just with influence and, hardiness, and knowing that I think a lot of people just haven't been in bad enough situations to know what actual bad is.
To know what you can get by on.
Yeah. There was a time in my life as a kid, me and my brother joke about it. We're like, do you remember that time that we just didn't have money? So we ate a microwave potato with a slice of American cheese on it every night for a week.
Oh yeah.
And we were and it was one of those things.
That Irish meal prep.
My mom knew what we were doing. She knew that's all we had. And it was just, we were so poor. It was just eat a really good lunch at school because you're on free lunch.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have potato cheese for dinner. And
potato cheese it is.
I think a lot of people, I wish it was as fancy as those. It was a microwave.
He's looking up like fucking French gourmet fucking baked potatoes.
Mine was a wrinkly potato made in a microwave with a slice of American cheese on it.
If you were lucky, you had a wet napkin wrapped around that potato.
And my thought process on everything has always been,
yeah, that's more like it right there.
I think most people have not truly suffered enough to appreciate how little they can get by on, which is tragic. But at the same time, I don't want anyone to ever go through the things that I had to go through because I didn't like them. I didn't like them at the time.
I have a question about suffrage, but while we're on that point, we literally were just talking to somebody about you can only find true love in suffrage.
That was a quote from the men's circle.
Maybe that's what it was. But yeah, I truly believe that. Like, you will never find true love unless you suffer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you can tie that to religion, you can tie it to whatever the hell you want, but real life, metaphysics, whatever, but like, you will not be happy unless you suffer.
It's one of those tropes, but you do tend to grow the most from adversity. But I'm also, as a tender heart, I don't want people to not have food. I don't want people to, like our minimum wage. I could probably get by paying people for less, but to what end? Do I buy a new car? I have, I buy new trinkets. I buy an Xbox. I would never feel good about knowing that I bought a PlayStation 5 and my cook has to walk to work because they can't afford a car or something like that. Now, if they can't afford a car and I also can't have something, that's okay. But if I'm getting extras while they can't have necessities, that is where I have an inherent problem with the way the world works. I'm not going to fix anything, but you can do good for the people around you.
You can control what you can control.
Yeah,
I think
and that's
what you're doing.
I don't care about anything else. Like, I tell people this all the time. I love someone who is passionate about a cause. I hate someone who is passionate about every cause because it's all bullshit. It's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, if you stand for everything, you stand for nothing.
Yeah, and people are sharing this and that, and I'm like, I don't care. I can help people in Evansville. I can care about this issue or that issue, and I can have empathy for everything. But you can only help what you can help, and I'm a firm believer if I can do that, I did something, and at the end of the day, it might mean nothing, but it probably means something to one person.
Yeah, those handicapped kittens in Guatemala are just going to have to pick one and suck it at this point.
I wish I could, but I can't.
I do want to dive into suffering. One of our questions we like to tie up each show on is during this adventure of High Score Saloon,
or the fire department,
or the military. It's just a kind of general question about adversity. But during any of your adventures, did you ever have a moment where you were like, yeah, I've had enough. This is dumb. I'm ready to stop. I'm going to quit this. This is stupid. Why did I think, like you meet that real adversity for the first time. And then more importantly, in that moment, what was it that got you through to the other side? And again, that could be with the military, the fire department, or, High Score Saloon. And how many years have you been doing High Score now? 12?
So actually open brick and mortar, it'll be 8 years, December 17th.
8 years. So in the 8 years of doing
you don't have to go in depth on the moment. We care more about what pulled you through that moment.
What was your motivation? What kept you going?
I think I've had moments in all the things like that. The military was realizing I was not an inherently good runner, which is funny because I am now, or I was. I couldn't run, and I could barely run an 8.5 minute mile to get in. And I was running, my best 2 mile ever was back before I fucked up my knee. I could run 2 miles in like 12:15.
That's insane. Because 13 minutes is like a perfect score.
Yeah. The military was just, I was always really good at things the first time I tried. And I now know that's ADHD. If I'm not good at something immediately, I don't want to do it anymore. And I suffered from that for years and years and years, having to go, it's okay. You're not going to be good at it. You just have to keep trying. Military was running. Fire department was, a lot of the testing afterward was bullshit. I actually always loved that job. There was nothing, I ended up not wanting the job anymore. It was nothing to do with the job, and it was more so about the other circumstances of my life.
You wanted to have a life.
Yeah, I wanted to have a life that was more about my free time and less about finances and retiring early and having shiny things. High Score, I still want to quit every week.
Okay.
It never stops.
What keeps you showing up and unlocking the doors then?
Yeah, what keeps the lights on for you?
Because otherwise I'd have to, my problem with the military was I had to take orders from someone dumber than me.
You like to be your own boss.
I never want to be in a position where I'm standing at a supermarket and a guy who barely manages to tie his shoes is telling me I did something wrong because it's not how the book says to do it, and it's or not how he says to do it. I'm like, well, this is a better way. Well, it doesn't matter. That's not how we do it. I can never go back to that. So what always pulls me through is, it's a lot of things. I really do have a lot of pride in what we've built because it was a shitty story. We got sued and barely made it. We had a fire, whole fire alarm thing happen, barely made it.
COVID.
Kids Arcade, COVID. We've been through so much. And now, you open up and you have a couple guys and there's this and that. And then you look around, you go, I have 14 employees and they all rely on me for a paycheck and to keep the wheels on this thing. But I never feel obligated. I feel fortunate to have that. I feel, if someone's working for me, they're quite literally trading their life so that I can make a little bit of money. They're making money too, but I get driplets of it. That's kind of a special thing that someone does for you. To trade their time so you can make money is like a parasitic situation, honestly. I do feel like a parasite sometimes, that I'm trickling a little bit of money off of every dollar that they make. Yeah. And it's off of them, which is why we do good things for our employees. We take care of them. We give Christmas bonuses. They get mental health days and things like that. But I think what always gets me through it is I don't know what else I would do. I've already had my dream jobs.
Right.
I wanted to be a firefighter so bad. And I wanted to be in the military at a certain time. I wanted to see what that was like. And I wanted to be a teacher at one point even too. I've kind of done everything I wanted to do. So I don't want to say it's this or nothing, but it's what else is there? Right. I enjoy this.
And I think the cool part about High Score Saloon is not only like you bring this nostalgia to like, the millennial age group of people, but then like we can also take our kids in there and our kids get to experience like games of the past, which is like pretty cool.
And that's why Player 2 is so like, High Score is what it is, but Player 2, we have everything from like new Nintendo Switches and like the latest dance games from Japan all the way to Miss Pac-Man. And that's so we've had grandpas, dads, and sons come in 3 generations and all have something to do. And I'm like, that's what I wanted for this place.
That's perfect.
It's like, again, it's easy whenever you're running 2 things that are so similar but so different. It's such a different experience for people.
Hell yeah, brother. As we're wrapping up here, though, we're going to put a bow on this thing. But before we do you have any dates or any like thank yous or shout outs you want to give as we're tying up here and putting a bow on this thing?
We will get a venue open by summertime, I hope. And that's really
upstairs?
Yeah, that's really the only date that I have. And I think above everyone else, I love our customers. They're wonderful, but I always thank our employees.
Because last minute shout outs. Who's got you to where you're at? Who's keeping you going?
Always the employees. It's always them. They're running the show so that I can, they actually are back there pushing the drawer and making drinks so that I can stand up here and pull strings. That's awesome. It's always to the employees. They do everything for us.
And you do a lot for them, brother. So it does, I'm sure if I would be proud to work for you, and I'm sure all 14 of them are proud to work for you. You do great things for the organization, for the community, and for them. It sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders. You got an amazing foundation built here with High Score Saloon. And I look forward to see what you're doing in the future. Hopefully opening a new spot upstairs this summer. So very excited for you, brother. I don't have
you could have done anything with your Sunday, and you came in, and we got to learn a bit about you, a bit about High Score, and we can't thank you enough, Clint.
I'll make Jared come in sometime and talk about the actual.
Hell yeah, get Jared's ass in here. I want to meet
he's fun.
Jared.
Maybe he can bring one. No.
Hell yeah, dude. We just played Miss Pac-Man.
He would bring his 3D
minutes.
printer.
But seriously, dude, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to the listeners, to the viewers. Like, subscribe, share the thing, do what you got to do. But this has been another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm, and my name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And this has been Clint from High Score Saloon. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, guys.